Welcome to Straight Talk for Women Only. I'm Judy.
I'm Janelle.
And I'm Mary.
And we're here with our guest, Sonja, telling us her awesome story. And we left with, we're gonna go right to you're 17 years old.
All right. When I was 17, I was like I said, I was an alcoholic. I drank a lot, and I got caught up with, I believe he was around 20, 21 years old.
Now you have your son, so you're still drinking, and you've got your son.
Well, a lot of times my son wasn't with me.
Okay.
He was with my stepfather and my mom and my brother. So my brother and my son were always together a lot. So I was out there misbehaving and, doing things I wasn't supposed to do, of course. And I was in a relationship with an older man. I ended up moving in with him. And I remember him taking my car. So one particular day, I was in high school still. So he would take my car, he would drive it, throughout the day. And he was taking me to drop me off for school. And I was already late. So we were having an argument because he was basically tearing up my car with the big speakers. You wanted to boom and have your bass and everything. So he put these big gigantic speakers on the back of my car, and they were puncturing holes in the back of my car. And my mother was getting upset with me. So she was coming at me, you're tearing up your car. So then I was coming at him, asking him not to do that. And he basically brushed me off. He laughed about it, and it was making me angrier. So when we finally got to the school, I turned the car off, took the key, and walked out. And as soon as I turned around, he was right in front of me. And he asked me, "What do you think you're doing?" I said, "I'm leaving. You're not taking my car because you're tearing it up." And as quick as I said that, and he was getting ready to come at me, someone appeared. And I always say it was like an angel. I was a senior. I've never seen this guy before. And he, asked, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And as he was talking to my boyfriend, I got in the car and left.
Okay.
And I went back to the house and I started packing. I started packing really fast because that was the first time he ever approached me in that manner. And I was afraid.
Okay.
Exactly. So I was going in and out of the house, putting things, into my car. And one time, as I was going out, he met me there at the door. He picked me up and he threw me.
Wow.
And we had, it was a very small apartment. There was a couch that was made out of wood and it had the cushions on it. So he threw me against the couch and my head cracked the wood. That's how hard he threw me.
Wow.
And he would just pick me up and just throw me down. "Oh, you're leaving me? You're leaving me?" So every time he would question me, he was throwing me, all over the place. So he finally stopped because I was saying, "No, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere." And I just remember after that, I remember sitting on the bed and my back was rested against the wall and he was laying across from me and he was telling me, "You're gonna leave me. Don't ever leave me. You scared me and I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that. I will never do that again." And I remember just feeling bad. Felt bad for him. And I was thinking, well, maybe I need to help him. He needs help. I can help him. I believe that he wasn't gonna do it anymore. Well, of course.
That's a very good thing for our audience to hear. Especially women that are in situations like this, because that's one of the things you think, I can help him, I can change him.
Yes.
But the warning is there. It's
Exactly,
there.
yes.
And you said you believed he won't do it again.
Right.
His
I believed
apology was sincere. It's funny because a lot of abusive men, they go through that. You see it all the time.
Yep.
They'll beat up and hit and whatever.
Yep.
And then afterward, they get really
like
sorry,
childlike.
genuinely
Yeah.
sorry. It's like something
Yeah.
it's almost like they can't help themselves, and when they do it, afterwards they feel so guilty and so shame, and they really actually feel these things, but there's something almost uncontrollable
Which is a part of the cycle.
that makes them
Right.
keep going
Yes.
on with what they do.
Yes. And that's the bondage. You have the abuser and the person that's abused, the victim.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's a bondage, and it'll keep cycling as long as you stay in the relationship.
So it almost sounds like the abuser is a victim
Just as well.
themselves.
Some situations.
As well.
Yeah.
Now, not to say...
Not to give them any excuses.
Right, we're not
or
saying
any,
that.
you know,
Just saying.
Yeah.
We're not saying you right.
Say we just, hey.
You is smart.
You is smart.
You is beautiful.
Amen. Yeah.
No, you're wrong. They're wrong.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
They're wrong.
Yeah. Not all of them go through that change. Some are proud of it. They're going to do it again.
yeah.
They'll tell you they're going to do it again. You act up one more time.
Yes.
You know what's going to happen. Go ahead.
That's right. That's fine. That's true. There's
So you
there's
felt
different types
sorry
of
for
people
him.
that are abused. There's different type of abusers.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
depending on where that seed was sown, how it's been watered. You know what they see, because I know that before I was in that relationship, I had a best friend. She was beautiful, smart. She was in an abusive relationship. We were in high school. Hers started in middle school. So there's abuse going on in middle school, you know, and I was always asking her, why are you staying with him? What's wrong with you? You're pretty, you're smart, he's beating you up. His father abused his mother.
Right, right.
And I remember one time seeing that. And he was angry at his mother, and he didn't respect his father, but he ended up being
like his father.
like his father.
Sure, sure.
You know, and treating his mother the same way his father was, minus the physical abuse. He was very disrespectful to his mother. So he didn't have respect for women in general. You know, and then I find myself in that situation and not thinking, why would I want to stay? Why do I think that he needs my help? When you're in that situation, a lot of people say, I would never let that happen. Nobody's going to beat me up. But you don't know, because I was on the other side of it. And see, then I found myself being the one that's abused. So I can relate to both sides, you know, of that.
Right.
I think people that probably make that statement have never experienced it in their family, or they've never seen it. So they feel confident to say they would never do it. But you know, if you've already lived in that environment, then you don't know. You know what you would really do. So 17, he's sorry. You feeling sorry for him. Right. And now what?
Well, I don't.
Did that sound?
No,
Sorry.
Well, the second time it happened, which was the last time, was when he was fighting. He got into a fight, and he scraped all his knuckles. I had moved back with my mom.
Okay.
And he came there to visit me, to see me there. And I remember I hit his knuckle on accident, and he elbowed me in my eye.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Like, boom, you know, right in my eye. And I remember just it stinging and burning. And I remember him saying, oh, you hurt my knuckle. You hurt my knuckle. You hurt my knuckle. And I'm thinking, you was busting my eye out, you know. And what I did was I went to the bathroom real quick, and I looked in, and I can see, you know, it was getting messed up. And then I ran to the kitchen. I got ice, and I got it on I put it on my face, because I didn't want to get a black eye. My mother was going to see me. Then you can't hide it. Now you see it. You know, a lot of times you think nobody knows, but people do know. But no longer, it's exposed now, because now there's physical evidence. And I try to cover it up.
Do you think that changes? It changes in the mind of the person being abused, that as long as you're being hit and there's no physical evidence, you kind of tolerate it longer, and then when there's a bruise, something happens, and it's like, okay, I don't think I'm
Everybody
going
can
to be.
see it now.
Yeah, I can't hide this.
That's why they have makeup.
Yeah.
I believe for some women it may, but a lot of women just put shades on and they keep it going.
Right.
They try to conceal it, you know, and they still stay.
That concealer, you know, the makeup.
Yeah.
You put that on, and
they
they try to
still stay.
conceal it.
And shades.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So I remember putting the ice on my eye, and he started calling me. And I felt this anger welling up inside of me.
He was calling you in the house?
He was calling me in the house.
Okay.
He was calling me in the house.
Cell phone.
No cell phones
No
at
cell
that
phones
time,
back
no.
then.
So he was calling me, and first it was like, Sonja, you know, Sonja, and they got louder, angry, and I just remembered, I'm going to kill this man. I'm going to kill him. So I pick up these long shears, my mother's Singer, these silver Singer scissors, and I grab it in my hand, and I put it behind my back. I have the ice pack on my, on my eye, and I'm going towards him. And he's sitting on the edge of the bed, and he pulls me close to him. And actually, that reminded me, that was actually the third time he hit me. And I just remember putting the scissors in his spine. And I told him, if you don't get out of here, I will kill you. And the thought in my mind, just like how I thought about my brother when it came to me, do I keep my son, do I not keep, or my child, I didn't know I was having a son at the time, Eric came into my head. And I believe God was telling me, so what's gonna happen with Eric? And I stopped. But he got up and he left. And that was the last time.
He knew you were serious.
Yes.
Wow.
Because I meant it.
Because I felt like you meant it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got listening to it.
I was getting ready for the scissors to go in.
We're listening to a movie here with our guests.
I have to say, though, that, well, this is straight talk, so I'm just going to say what I'm thinking.
Say it, Judy.
But
say it.
I'm going to say it. When I was reading your story, I guess I was having an admiration for the fact that you did fight back. Because when, I've had domestic violence in my family with children and one of my daughters, and you get to the point that you're so frustrated with it happening that you want to kill them yourself. You're just like, I just want to deal with this and let him know I mean business here.
Right.
And saying, well, why would you just sit there and take it? Why would you just, but you did try to fight back.
Yes.
So.
That was one of the times I did. And it worked. It worked.
Wow.
But I thank God for speaking to me. And I
For the
wasn't
Holy
a believer.
Spirit, yeah, the
I
Holy
wasn't a believer,
Spirit
but
intervening.
He still had his hands over me. He still knew the plans he had for me. So no.
Oh, nothing stops God.
No.
Nothing stops
He
him.
can speak to a
He
mule.
can say anything to anybody at any
Wisdom,
time.
that word of
Yes.
wisdom. What about your son? If you do this,
Yes.
what's going to happen to your son?
So is, yep.
Yeah.
He's always moving.
Yes.
He's always talking.
So, was that the last time that a man ever abused you?
No.
Okay.
No. So we're going to fast forward
Okay.
Okay.
a couple decades.
Okay.
And I'm saved. I'm in church. I meet another, man of God. We get married, and there's abuse. Not physical abuse,
Okay.
but more of an emotional and verbal abuse. And I'll give you some examples.
Okay.
I was just thinking that.
This is what he would do.
We want to hear the details.
Yes, I'll give you some details. This is what he would do to
Isn't
me.
the one that slapped you?
No,
Now, who's the one that slapped you?
Slapped
the one
the
that
stars.
slapped me. That was
Because it's
my first
This-
boyfriend.
Okay,
And,
okay.
Like when I was speaking, I was like, no, that was actually the third time he hit me.
Right. Right.
That was the second time
He smacked you.
he smacked me. He continued to smack me until my nose started bleeding.
Oh,
God.
And then when I was falling to the ground, he kicked me in my chest.
oh my God.
Wow.
Okay.
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 So that was that. All right.
You got it.
So I'm married to a man of God.
And you're both in
and
the church?
We're both in the church.
Married a
Yeah.
church man.
Praising the
Thinking,
Lord.
hey,
Hallelujah.
we both know the Lord. If we both have God in our lives, we're going to be okay. God will work this out. Just as long as we have God first. But sometimes men put
Jesus.
themselves before God.
Yeah.
And God had already shown me signs, so I was in a relationship that he did not ordain.
Okay.
And so now I'm going through these things.
Wow.
Signs that I've already seen before we got married of insecurity.
Okay.
One time he was talking to me on the phone. He just dropped me and the kids off at home, and this is before we even got married. He dropped us off at the phone, at home, and he calls me up right away, and he asked me, "What are you doing? What are you up to?" "Well, I went to Wawa's. It's around the corner from my house. Just alone time with me, myself. I got some coffee." He said, "Oh, really? Which one?" I said, "The one by the house." "Oh, what are you doing there?" "Just getting coffee." I turn around, he's right in front of me.
Wow.
He turns around. He turns his car around and makes sure I'm there.
Which is a form of abuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the control. Always wanting to know where you are.
Yes.
Every second, every
Stalking
moment.
you. Yes.
Stalking. Yeah, finding out where you are. No trust.
No trust.
Right. And that was just one of the many times that he had done that. But the one time that he did it before we got married. So after we got married, he would do things, and I'm going to be real, it's not clean, it's not good. He would smell my panties. To say, this is how we check and see if you messing around.
Wow.
Crazy stuff. He
Wow.
would, I couldn't wear.
I just had a thought. Excuse me.
no.
I repent in Jesus' name. No.
I would wear certain
God.
clothing. He'd have to test it, make sure it wasn't too short. So he would make me turn around, bend over, touch my toes. If it would ride up, if he saw anything, I couldn't wear it. So everything I did. When I went to go, sometimes I would go get my nails done or my hair done, he would clock me, make sure it wasn't too much time. It was reasonable.
It felt like he was always with you even when he wasn't with you.
All
Did you
the
feel
time.
like it was...
I couldn't do
Was
anything.
you in fear?
I was
very
tormented.
fearful? Tormented, yeah.
I was tormented.
Not knowing,
I was tormented. I literally I wouldn't even want to go home. I wanted to stay at work.
Wow.
And when I finally got home, I would just sit in the driveway and say, "God, what is it going to be today?"
Wow.
He would check my cell phone. He would go through my car, see if there's evidence. I had a really strong relationship with my pastor. He started questioning
jealous of that.
Yes, why are you always talking to the pastor? And a lot of times we're talking about my son because my pastor was my son's mentor. And he always saw something. He always accused me of all kinds of stuff. And at a certain point, I started to question myself. Am I acting? Flirtatious?
And that's what happens. Women start to question their own.
Yeah, their own.
Because you hear it so much. You're like, well, am I putting out some kind of vibes? Is
Yes.
this,
And that kind of abuse will make you feel like you're crazy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mentally just torment.
Yeah.
I was definitely tormented.
Was
And
there ever any physical hitting or pushing or shoving, or was there ever anything?
With him.
There was. When a year after we got married, we took a cruise for kind of like an anniversary thing because we never really had a honeymoon. And so we were on our cruise, and I remember that I got really angry with him because I wanted to be intimate, and I got angry with him. And I still had residue, and he was very controlling, very, he was just very mean to me. And I remember just going like this. And I accidentally hit him. I didn't purposely mean to hit him. And so he just got on me.
Wow.
He just tried to hold me down on the bed, he was and I remember just trying to just try to take his flesh out because I was a fighter, and I remember afterwards I had bruises on my chest and stuff like that, but not that he was really physically hitting me, but he was holding me down, and he would always tell me, the enemies tell me I can kill you, I could snap your head off your head, that, right? He would tell me that. He would tell me, the enemy said I could snap your head off, you know that? So you need to watch it. And he would
but the
always
enemy's not telling him that he's laying on your chest, right? I'm just saying.
It's all kinds of he was out of control.
Wow.
He was I couldn't do anything without him, checking up on me. If I was at work and I was on the phone, if someone came to my my desk, the window, I couldn't put him on hold. Because once I did that, who are you talking to? Why are you putting me on hold? So I would have to literally allow him to listen
to your work conversations?
Yes. or he would question me when I got home.
Wow.
It was that type of thing.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Oh my gracious.
You gotta say that you have to get this book.
Yes.
You have to get this book. This needs to be a movie, miniseries, something. This is Sonja Portier, says drumming on here, but Portier, my first love, true love begins in him. We're going to keep talking to her, but go to straighttalkwomenonly.com, $20, and half of that is going to benefit the Delaware Domestic Violence Program. You won't be disappointed.
Yes.
Continue, please.
Okay.
So did you ever, during all of this, did you ever reach out to your pastor or to someone and say, did you ever try to get help or counseling or?
We got counseling one time with our pastors, and I was sharing some of the things that he was doing, to me, as far as checking my phone, checking my car, that type of stuff.
Was he in the counseling session?
He was with us.
Okay.
Yes, they counseled, both the husband and wife always counseled the couple together. And they had the exercise with the bat, hit this, show your anger. So I'm like tearing up the bat, tore up whatever I don't remember, it was a cardboard or something, but that's how angry I was, and I held it in. And the struggle that I had was he portrays himself as such a nice Christian man who's going to believe me that he's really, and that this is not a physical thing going on, this is an emotional thing that's going on that he's doing to me. And I remember in that counseling session, he kept saying, well, she doesn't respect me. And the pastor saying, well, you have to earn respect. What you're doing is not respectful. How do you expect her to respect you when you're doing these type of things? And I had no respect for him at all. I was just angry.
Sure.
And I felt like I couldn't get out.
I don't respect him either. No. Lord help me. I didn't mean that to come out of my mouth.
Too late. It's on the internet.
Thank God for grace. Thank God for grace.
Right? The flesh comes up sometimes.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did get some counseling. The one incident that happened that really shifted things was when he would continue to, check my phone. And you know what I started doing? I'm going to erase all the calls. You're not going to do that. Because he would call people and see who would answer.
Wow.
Oh, that's just a shame.
And that was embarrassing to me.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so I just started deleting everything. So one day I go out, I go shopping. I don't tell them. I just go because I'm angry. I don't care. And that just made it worse. So when I come home, he questions me. Why? And he's holding my phone. Why you delete all the calls? Would you try and hide something? I said, because I'm tired of you looking at my phone. You're calling people. It's embarrassing. You're listening to my messages. Making it. There was one message that you couldn't even understand what was said on the message, and he comes up with this crazy story. Oh, somebody said I'm going to get some, and I didn't say that. He has my son listen to. What doesn't it say that? Doesn't it say that?
Wow.
See,
He gets my son
you
involved.
got your son involved.
To try to make it. He tried to get it. People on his side.
Right.
To make it seem like your mother has issues.
Yeah.
She's crazy. I'm not a bad person. I'm a good person. And no one saw him to be this type of person. Because in front of everybody else, he loved me. He was good to me. He was nice to me. He said I was a blessing during testimony. But then when we would go home, God said, you're a mistake. You're a mistake. I should have nenever married you. He would do that type of stuff. So when he would stand up and give testimonies, it's like, what are you standing up for? To lie? Because you're a hypocrite. And I just felt that way about him, that he was just being hypocritical all the time.
So the abuse started with your mom, because that is in a form of domestic violence, the emotional. Then at 17, you see, and then you also see your mom being abused by your dad. You get abused at 17. Then you get married, and there's a different form of abuse happening. And then what happens after that? Where are you?
All right. That same incident that day when he's checking my phone, it blew up. So of course, to try to intimidate me, he starts punching things. He punched our closet door, then he punches our air conditioner, and my son comes upstairs because he hears it. And he's on the phone with the pastors, calling them, saying, I don't know what's going on. And so my son is on the phone outside of our bedroom, because this was going on in our bedroom. So my husband goes outside into the hallway. So what you doing? He's questioning my son. What are you doing? What you doing, boy?
How old was your son then?
Oh, how old was he? I think he was about 17. I think he was 17. Yes, he was 17. Because when I was in the shelter, he was getting ready to turn 18.
Yeah. Okay.
So he was on the phone with the pastors, and he was confronting my son. And so the pastor was telling Eric, let me talk to him. And then he talked to him, and at this point I'm like furious. And it's crazy how sometimes how I was fighting back, but when I really got angry is when it got in my son's face.
Right. Mama bear.
Yes, that nurturing spirit came in, where I was more willing to fight
for you
and protect my son than I was for myself. You know, and so long story short, he ends up leaving the house. My husband ends up leaving the house. He's my ex-husband. And I pushed the couch. I called my cousin to get Eric, and to get him out of there. My oldest daughter's in the house, and our daughter that we had together was in the house, and she was young at this time. So after Eric leaves, I'm pushing the couch in front of the door because I don't want him to come in there. I was terrified. And I get all the knives, I put them upstairs in the room, and I hide them. So he comes back with someone that I don't know, and he's knocking and banging on the door. Open the door. And he calls me, why aren't you opening the door? And I said, I'm afraid. And so he asked me, if you are so afraid, why are you in my house? Isn't God saying, why are you there? You know, God is like, why are you there? You know?
What did you do?
I didn't let him in the house. He kicked and got in. He was able to get in, and he comes upstairs, he grabs some things, and he gets his gun, because he has a gun. And I'm just praying, Lord, help me. Protect me, Lord. And he leaves. So the next day, that was on a Saturday, the next day I go to church. I come back thinking, hopefully things have calmed down. I have nowhere to go. That's my house at the time. So it's me, you know, and all my children coming back, and he locked the screen door so I couldn't get back in the house. And we just leave. We go to a friend's house. We end up coming back with police, and I just get out of there, and I just stayed in a hotel. And from that point on, things started moving and shifting. I couldn't go to work, and I told a coworker what was going on, and she suggested that I call Catholic Charities. Then Catholic Charities suggested that I call the domestic violence hotline, and then that's how we ended up being in a shelter. And the whole time, all I can think of is, you know, I don't want a divorce. And I was very clear with him, I don't want a divorce. I want God to work this out. But right now, this is not good. Neither one of us is behaving in a godly manner. You know, we're fighting each other. I'm out of character because I have this protection mode on. So I said, we need to get help. We need to get counseling.
So well, this is like a two-part question, and I know we're running out of time, so I'm trying to do it real quick. He is emotionally and mentally abusing you, and you don't want a divorce.
No.
Why don't you want a divorce? And why did you feel like we're both acting out of character, in opposed to saying, you know, this guy is doing this to me? Why did you?
Because there were times where he would would do things that would provoke me, or I would get angry, so I would, you know, like throw stuff at him, you know, those type of things. I was becoming someone that I knew that was not me. So I was starting to behave in the manner that he was behaving. You know, he would throw water at me, then I started throwing water at him. It was that back and forth kind of thing. It was a fight that nobody was winning, and it just kept escalating. You know, now you're my son's face, so this is just getting out of control. So we both had our parts in it. You know, I did things that I shouldn't have done, and I would act out. I would say, you know, I would verbally say things to him like, you know, I hate you, you know, those type of things. I would spit in his face because I just felt like I was in this situation. I couldn't get out of here, and I want us to be better. You know, I believed, and the reason why I stayed is because I believed if God is a part of this, He can work this out. We can work this out. All we need to do is get counseling, and we can be together. You know, we both need to get healed. We both need to get delivered so that we can be together as a family.
I'm so sorry to say that our time is up for this segment, and I know we're leaving things on a. We haven't even begun to reach the end here.
That's part 3, I guess.
Yeah, we are going to have to do part 3. So we're going to talk to our guests to come
back.
Yeah,
Yes.
would you come back?
Because
we have to finish. But I want to leave with this. One thing that I really appreciate about our guest tonight and her story is that she's very honest.
Yes.
She's talking straight, and direct, which is what we want people to do, because this is real. It's a real issue. Women are facing it every day. She has accepted responsibility in here for things that she did in the relationship as a result of what was being done to her, and it's so good. It's so good.
And I've read the book, and what I like about the book, as well as, you know, the details of what your story is about, was how you actually gave insight, wisdom, and advice to those that might be going through domestic violence, and even those that are helping those going through. Things not to say, the things to say. Why someone would stay in longer, even in innocent statements that they make to that person, you know, it makes them stay in longer. So that's something most people wouldn't know unless you really, you know, knew the person who went through the domestic violence, which is like yourself. Certain things you know that you can let other people know that are trying to help. You know, you give a lot of good wisdom and nuggets on how to help those that are going through that trial.
Yes.
So we're not going to leave you hanging, because I feel like I'm hanging right now. I want to know what happened next. We will do a third part to this, but we thank you so much for watching the show tonight. We want you to know there's hope, there's help. If you're in a situation where you're being abused and you're at the point that you're crying out to God, you want this to stop, one thing I will say that in Delaware, we have a Delaware helpline. You can call 211 on your phone, and they will give you instructions on where you can call and where you can go and how you can get help. And we know that Jesus Christ is the rock of our salvation, and He will bring you through everything that you face. Because you are graced
for everything
that you face.
God bless you.
Good night. Thanks for watching.